Ha! That is one dumb AI.
That was brilliant.
Hello YouTube and welcome to my new challenge. For this video, I decided to take on the challenge that kept Red depressed for the rest of the Pokemon games. Can I take down a Gen 1 game with only level 5 Pokemon? Unlike my previous level 10 and level 1 only challenges, fancy movesets, abilities, and powerful held items are not available in Gen 1. I do however have one advantage: stupidity. I'm going to try and take advantage of this game's AI in order to progress through the game with only level 5 Pokemon. In this gen, psychic types are immune to ghost, special attack is also the special defense, critical attacks can be weaker than normal attacks, and 100% accurate moves are not always accurate.
What is everything?
Also, each trainer in this game can have either a bad AI or a good AI, and in some cases, special AI. And I'm not talking the good kind of special, but I'll go over them throughout this video, so let's start with the challenge. Just as we start our journey, Professor Oak saves us from the dangerous grass filled with level 2 Pidgeys. Once we get to the lab, he offers me a Pokemon. I choose Bulbasaur, as you will see why later, get challenged by Gary, and lose my first fight.
He's already losing and it hasn't started yet.
As always, I have my team ready in an old save file, this time from Gen 1 and Gen 2 games, so once I get my Pokeballs, I can start trading for them. The Viridian Forest only has one bug catcher that we're forced to battle. He has a level 9 Weedle that uses String Shot most of the time, and I managed to take him down with just my Squirtle since my Bulbasaur resists his Poison Sting. That made absolutely no sense. Next is the first gym leader. One of the Pokemon I traded is a Ghastly, and since Brock only has normal type attacks, hold on, just one sec. With that, we get the first badge. The trainers before Mount Moon either have Weedles, Caterpies, or Rattatas. The Rattatas can't attack Ghastly, and the Caterpies usually go for String Shot to lower my extremely high speed. They also get poisoned by Toxic, so they're easy to take down. I use Bulbasaur for some of these fights, since Leech Seed and Toxic are really strong in the gen. Actually, both moves use the same damage algorithm in this game, so if at any point in the battle a Pokemon gets badly poisoned, Leech Seed will use the same parameter to calculate the damage, and it will end up increasing in damage every turn, just like Toxic. Now, if you have both of them up on one Pokemon, the bug catchers and trainers all have bad AI. Usually if a trainer has good AI, they will try and attack with super effective moves, or at least avoid using not very effective moves, which makes sense, but in this game they can keep on spamming a super effective move even if it doesn't do any damage, or in some cases try and go for a move that you're completely immune to just because the other move is not very effective. That makes the good AI actually easier to defeat in most cases because you don't have to rely on luck. So you can see they're both idiots, but one of them is more idioter.
Stop, you're embarrassing yourself.
I faced my first problem in Mount Moon. You only need to fight 2 trainers, but I realized poison types are an issue for me, and I died a few times before I managed to take down a Zubat. So I'm moving forward, but this clearly won't work for the late game. I have to come up with something else other than taking advantage of type resistance and dumb AI. I also noticed I'm not taking enough advantage of the Pokemon that I'm completely immune to, like the Rattata in the Team Rocket fight. We reach the next city. Maybe I should challenge the rival first before Misty, just for the experience. We need to take out a level 19 Goldeen before battling Misty. She only has Pick as its attacking move, but once again I'm just relying on the AI's stupid decisions, and with Toxic stacking damage, I managed to kill it with just a Diglett and a Pidgey. Next is Misty, so this is a good AI battle. Water attacks are weak versus Dragon, so to force Misty to use Tackle, I use a Dratini not only because it resists water moves, but because it has Dragon Rage which deals a fixed 40 damage. If I try to brute force this fight, I'll die to her Starmie. Misty also considered a special AI because she can use X Defend based on a random parameter. She always used it on Starmie when I battled her, sometimes on the first turn and sometimes on the second, and since I can take it down in 2 turns, I need her to miss Tackle once. So I decided to maximize my evasion on her Staryu, and by the time her Starmie is up, taking her down shouldn't be an issue. Next is Gary. His team has a total of 12 moves, 10 of them are normal types, I useless Teleport, and Ember. So that one fire type move is what I'm worried about, since Ghastly can be attacked by the rest. You can see that I still don't have things figured out yet, and I'm changing my Pokemon's moveset, trying to figure out what works best. But at this point, I came to the realization that increasing my evasion is essential because all I need is one Pokemon that I'm immune to, and I can take advantage of that to maximize my evasion and maybe get a substitute safely. Unfortunately, Baton Pass is not a thing in Gen 1, but neither is Logic, so I'll take it. After taking advantage of my immunity to his Pidgey's attacks, I now start the battle with max evasion and a substitute. Abra only has teleport, so it wasn't a problem. Neither is his Rattata because it only has normal moves. Of course, he decided to keep the only Pokemon that can actually kill me last, because logic. Charmander will only use Ember and he breaks my substitute, but I managed to waste time for the poison damage to take it down. Partially because of my evasion, but mostly because he used a lot of Leers and Growls. The Nugget Bridge trainers are easy, I just choose the trainers with normal Pokemon and defeat them with Ghastly. The worst part in this whole section is having to go back and heal after each battle. But I did it for you guys, no need to thank me. I won't even ask you anything in return. I decided to challenge the guy with Slowpoke over the trainer at the lower end of the screen, because even though he's the more difficult option, for some reason all my Pokemon outspeed his Slowpoke. So if I go for Toxic and keep on using Substitute with my Pokemon, he dies to the toxic damage. Man, I'm a genius. Turns out I had to fight her anyways, and that Slowpoke fight was absolutely useless. Yeah, I know. We reach Bill's house and he asks for our help. Hey, I say we rob the place and get out of here. I agree. Before the SSN, we need to fight 3 trainers, a Team Rocket member who starts with a Machop that cannot hit our Ghastly, so that fight is over, and 2 more trainers. One has 3 Pidgeys and also can't attack me, the other one has Eradicate and a Spearow. The Spearow has Pick, so it can hit Ghastly, but I noticed that the AI reacts to Dragon types the same way guys react to hot girls. The IQ is completely thrown out the window. It's probably just my luck, but anyways, I take down his Spearow with Dratini, and his last Pokemon with Ghastly. Second rival. He now has a Kadabra on his team, so both Confusion and Ember can now hit me. I start by raising my evasion and getting Substitute up on his Pidgeotto, while it goes down to the toxic damage. Eradicate can't hit me, so only Kadabra and Charmander are left. Since Gary has good AI, Kadabra will either go for Confusion or Teleport. He misses Confusion as I Gen 1 miss my Confuse Ray. It takes me a few tries before Toxic lands, and he also snapped out of Confusion really quickly, so things are not going well for me, but I do manage to take him out without him attacking. Charmeleon is next, and he lands his first Ember, breaking my sub. Luckily, I get him poisoned, and he misses the second Ember, so I manage to bring Substitute up again, just for him to break it a second time the following turn. Good news is that he's now confused, so I have a better chance of surviving, and the Toxic can kill him in the next 3 turns, but the bad news is I can't use Substitute again if he breaks it. Especially that in Gen 1, you will actually die if you use it at low health, it won't just fail, which is something everyone knows. I knew that. Also, taking me out here would probably mean that I lose, because in Gen 1, you don't take poison damage if you kill your opponent, so my other Pokemon are useless. Next, we head to the gym. After wasting 3 minutes searching in the trash, I get to challenge one. I decided to use Dratini, and remember my hot girl reference to dragon types?
Girl.
Next is his Pikachu.
Girl.
Finally his Raichu, and it only has electric attacks, so a ground type Pokemon can easily take it out. That's why I switched to Diglett, get it poisoned, and wait for it to go down. The few forced battles between here and getting to Celadon City are not a problem. Some of them were annoying, and some not so much. The only annoying Pokemon was Oddish, since I have to wait for it to kill itself with Confusion, because it can get poisoned or leech seeded. That is the reason why I never wanted to give Bulbasaur to the rival, or things would have been a lot worse for me. The easiest trainer to battle before Erika was this trainer right here. She only has one Execute that spams Reflect, as I kill it in 2 turns with Dragon Rage. Next is Erika. Erika is considered a trainer with good AI. Here are her Pokemon's movesets. If you use any grass and poison type Pokemon like Bulbasaur or Oddish for her Victory Bell and Vileplume, it will break her AI and make them only use Poison Powder. And since they are poison type, they can get poisoned. I used this Bulbasaur just for this fight, since it will take me ages otherwise. I also have Rage, since it's an attack that goes on until the battle ends, so I will never run out of PP just in case it takes that long. As for her Venonat, it only has normal moves, so Ghastly is completely immune to it. And since Venonat is only grass type, I can get it poisoned using Toxic. Notice that it will use Bind, and even though I'm immune to it, it still prevents me from attacking and displays the normal animation, but I'm not actually taking damage. After I take it down, one more Pokemon to go, so I switch back to Bulbasaur, raise my attack again, and this time, go for Body Slam and Cut. I don't have to worry about Vileplume using an attack when Ghastly's out, because the AI in this game makes its decision after you make yours, so it sees that I'm switching to Bulbasaur and decides to go for the best move then. This is something that I have to watch out for in future battles as well. The worst part is when I get a crit, because critical attacks ignore stat changes, so it uses my normal attack instead. This goes on for a while, especially that she heals her Vileplume with Super Potion. However, opponents don't run out of PP in this game, so I'm not worried that this will ever change. Next is the Pokémon Tower. We're challenged by the rival, and his Pidgeotto still only has normal attacking moves, so it's a great start for me as I can now maximize my evasion again. He then goes for the least dangerous Pokemon as usual, which in this case is his Execute. The worst he can do is get me to sleep. I wait for him to die to the poison. Next is Gyarados, and now the real battle begins. Since Gary is considered smart, he will only go for 2 moves, either Dragon Rage or Hydro Pump. I would prefer if he goes for Hydro Pump since it's less accurate, but just as I say that, he breaks my substitute with it. But luckily, that is as bad as it gets because he hits himself in confusion a few times and then dies to the poison. Kadabra's next, and he has the exact same psychic moves as the last time. Between attacking itself and using the super threatening move Teleport, it dies to the poison and he fails to even break my substitute. Only Charmeleon is remaining, and he still only has Ember that can hit me, so he's not going to use any other move. That makes it his hardest Pokemon for me, so logically, he kept it last. Just like the last time, the fight was really close. He broke my substitute twice and I was left on 5 HP. Any other attack and I would lose the battle, but luckily for me, that never happened. The rival is down, but we still have the rest of the tower left. For the weird scary ladies in the tower, I use a Chansey. One of the moves that Ghastlies and Hunters have is Nightshade. Even though it's a ghost move, Nightshade ignores type immunities in this gen, so a normal type Pokemon like Chansey can still get hit with it. But I doubt the AI itself knows that, so thankfully it doesn't always go for it. The good thing is, Nightshade always deals damage equal to the user's level. That's one of the reasons I chose Chansey, since it can survive Nightshade with its high HP pool. This way, I get a chance to at least live one hit in case they use it, until I get my evasion and substitute up. I start by putting their Pokemon to sleep, then swap to Bulbasaur to use Leech Seed, and then swap back to Chansey. Sleep can last up to 7 turns in this gen. Not only that, but it doesn't attack on the turn it wakes up on, so switching while a Pokemon is asleep is really safe here. I also taught Chansey Mimic, because Mimic in Gen 1 allows you to choose which move you want to copy. I go for their Confuse Ray, get them confused as I raise my evasion, and use Substitute. By the way, most Pokemon learn Substitute and Double Team in the gen, and yes, Substitute is a Gen 1 move. I don't remember it being that old. By the time Ghastly is down, I'm full HP again, and I can repeat that for the other Pokemon. The Hunter goes down the exact same way. Thankfully, there are only 3 Ghost Trainers that we have to battle in this tower. After we take them down, we're stopped by a grumpy dead Marowak on the way, so we offer it a treat.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
I know this is not the actual way you go through it, but since it's a feature in the game, I decided to use the Pokédoll. The next few Team Rockets are not a problem, so after defeating them, we get the Pokéflute. I wake up the Snorlax and head to the Cycling Road. Even though this is the Poison type gym, the gym trainers for some reason all have Psychic Pokemon, and even though the AI in general is terrible, these trainers were exceptionally special. First trainer encounter, he withdraws his level 31 Drowsy to bring in a different level 31 Drowsy. That trainer is one of the special AI that can switch out based on a random parameter. One thing that is actually going for him is that Badly Poison becomes regular poison when the Pokemon switches back in, so that made the battle longer than it needed to be, but we take him down anyways. Now, if you thought that trainer's AI was bad, there's a reason why Koga's their leader. I'm not going to try and explain what he was doing, but I'll go over my strategy. Koga has poison Pokemon, so I can't use Toxic on him. That's why I'll be using Bulbasaur, since I need to use Leech Seed, and a second Ghastly that knows Hypnosis. This is one of the 2 Ghastlys that I have on my team. I've been using this strategy a lot with all of the Team Rocket members with poison types, so I'm pretty used to it by now. I start by putting the Pokemon to sleep using Hypnosis, then switch to Bulbasaur to use Leech Seed. Again, thanks to how sleeping mechanics work in this gen, it's really safe to switch like that. I then switch back to the Ghastly, use Confuse Ray, and wait for the Pokemon to die as it attacks itself in confusion while it takes damage from Leech Seed. The healing from Leech Seed helps here because I'm also using Substitute. This goes on for all of Koga's Pokemon, well, most of them. You will see some great decision making from him as he uses tackles and X attacks. The thing is, Koga is also considered a good AI, but since he only has normal and poison attacks, the AI is probably indecisive on what to use, so he ends up just like a typical bad AI and goes for anything. Weezing is his final Pokemon, and we get the Soul Badge that claims to increase our defense, but actually increases our speed, because Gen 1. Next is Cinnabar Island, and I don't have to fight any trainers to get there. The mansion also doesn't have any forced trainer battles, so I only need to make it to the key with 1 Pokemon alive, thanks to the annoying encounters.
Ah, you blinked. You blinked.
Next is the gym, and no trainers are required here either, since you can just answer the questions. Blaine's Growlithe has a psychic move, Agility, so if I use a poison Pokemon like Ghastly, he's going to spam it. Of course, this makes his Growlithe useless, so I can use Ghastly to maximize my evasion and get Substitute up. He uses Super Potion before I even get him poisoned, because why not? The easy part is done, next is the hard part. His Ponyta and Rapidash only have Rapid Spin as their fire move. It's a trapping move, so if it lands, it will attack more than once, and I won't get a chance to use Substitute, so if he does manage to land it, I'll have to start all over. Luckily for me, Fire Spin is not accurate, so with my max evasion, it shouldn't be that difficult. I also make sure I get them confused to help me avoid their attacks. Another great decision making by the AI as he uses Super Potion when the Pokemon is almost full health. I finally take down Ponyta and Rapidash, only 1 Pokemon remaining. His Arcanine can switch between Ember and Fire Blast. Again, I prefer if he goes for the less accurate move, but I'm happy as long as he misses. Just as I say that, he breaks my Substitute twice with both of them. I think he uses around 6 Super Potions in this fight, and only actually healed with 3 of them. I take down his last Pokemon. Looks like Blaine is burnt out.
Did you just steal that from the game?
No. I wanted to keep the South Co building last because of the Team Rocket members, but then I realized I only need to fight 1 Pokemon. It's an Arbok. Before the next rival battle. I choose to start with a Pikachu for this fight because his Pidgeot now has a flying move, Wing Attack, but 3 other useless normal attacks. Quick Attack is the only one that deals damage, and I think he only uses it if your HP is low. This makes my Pikachu safe. I don't think I died once from his Pidgeot. His Execute is next, and since it can't attack my Ghastly, I take the chance to get a free switch after I get him confused with Pikachu. So once again, I raise my evasion as it goes down. The next 3 Pokemon are still the same, still as dangerous, and they all still have the same moves that can hit Ghastly. This is where most of my resets happen. Gyarados is first, and he already breaks my Substitute once, so I don't think I'll be winning this fight, but I give it a try anyways. The Pokemon order doesn't change, so after his Gyarados, he goes for his now Alakazam. Thankfully, this one goes well, and I take him down without getting attacked once. After I take it down, he goes for a Charizard and it still only has Ember, which is embarrassing for a Charizard. I get one of the best rival battles as it attacks itself 3 times in confusion and doesn't break my Substitute even once. With that, the rival is down, next is Giovanni. His Nidorino has 3 normal attacks and 1 poison, but he never used it on me and he kept on using normal attacks that don't affect me at all. This makes the fight a lot easier for me. I do however need to put it to sleep first, since I'll be relying on Bulbasaur's Leech Seed. Here's the rest of his Pokemon's moveset, so basically with the terrible good AI and the lacking moveset, nothing can damage me. The only problem is that I will need to switch to Bulbasaur again to use Leech Seed on his poison typed Nidoqueen, but hopefully putting it to sleep would be safe enough. You will notice that he uses guard spec on each of his Pokemon. That's because he's a special AI, so after a random number is generated, it decides whether or not he would use it. This is only for Giovanni, by the way, but similar behaviors happen with any trainer that has special AI. It could be when to switch out or when to heal or use an X speed, but I believe no other AI uses guard spec. After I switch out to Ghastly with Hypnosis, I put his Nidoqueen to sleep. It actually wakes up on the second turn while Bulbasaur is up, but thanks to how this gen works, he doesn't get to attack. So I switch back to Ghastly. Again, I don't know why he didn't use Poison Sting, but I'm not complaining. I make sure I get it confused and increase my evasion again while I'm waiting for it to go down. I felt like bullying the fighting dojo for no reason, so I decided to challenge him, and I died to Fire Punch. So let's pretend that never happened. We can get to Sabrina without any trainer bells. This one is going to be a problem. She's a psychic type, which is super effective against my Ghastly, and is a good AI, so she will always use them. Her first Kadabra's psychic attacks both deal damage, so I can't hope for a non-attacking move. That's why I start with Mr. Mime. Honestly, I was hoping that because it's a psychic type, that Sabrina will only use its useless normal moves, but that wasn't always the case, and she used psychic attacks more often than I would have preferred, so this start took a few tries. She breaks my substitute twice and I'm already at 4 HP. It doesn't matter however, because I plan to switch to Ghastly on her Mr. Mime. That's because Mr. Mime has 3 psychic attacks, only one of them which deals damage, so I'm relying on that 67% of her not using confusion, at least until I get my setup going. This gets even worse because I want to get her poisoned by one Ghastly and then switch out to my second Ghastly with Hypnosis. Why do I need to do that? Because her next Pokemon, Venomoth, is a poison type, so I can't use Toxic. That means I have to switch to Bulbasaur, and for that I need to put it to sleep. So it was either having a 33% of dying with Ghastly or 100% of dying with Bulbasaur. I'm pretty sure there's a Pokemon out there that can break her AI, but I decided to go with this one, and I only hit it myself a little bit. Luckily for me, Venomoth sleeps for 4 turns, that's 5 turns without attacking. Leech Seed is slow, which is a bad thing because it takes time, but also a good thing because it gives me time to maximize my evasion. This is until she used Hyper Potion and I realized I had to wait for Venomoth to go down all over again. She even breaks my sub on the last few turns. This is not a problem because I can bring it back up and I will heal to full thanks to Leech Seed. Things are looking good so far. Her last Pokemon however can still easily kill me. Just as I expected, she switched between all of her 3 psychic moves. I get lucky and between her Alakazam getting confused, using Reflect, or completely missing, I was able to take her down and she didn't even break my substitute once. After taking down Sabrina, we head to the final gym. If you do this correctly, you only need to battle 2 trainers, both of them with Pokemon that cannot attack Ghastly, because one has a single Rhyhorn and the other has fighting Pokemon. Turns out the failing Team Rocket boss moonlights as a gym leader, so we battle him one last time. This time he starts with a useless Rhyhorn, so getting my evasion up was not a problem. This makes Doctrio easier to take down. Doctrio will spam Dig because it's super effective against poison types. It's a 2-turn move however, and as the poison stacks, it minimizes the chances of me getting hit. Next is his 2 poison type Pokemon, his Nidoqueen and Nidoking. Once again, they both only have Poison Sting and 3 normal moves, and again for some reason, they rarely use Poison Sting. So between his normal attacks and the random guard spec that he likes to use, I take them both down. His last Pokemon is Rhydon. I would say the fight is as good as over at this point, because even though he does have a ground move, it's a 30% accurate one-hit kill. I've been dealing with 100% accurate one-hit KO moves this whole challenge, since any move can one-shot me. A 30% one is not going to scare me. With that, we have all 8 badges, one last rival battle before the Elite Four. In the last rival battle, Pidgeot had a flying move, Wing Attack, so I couldn't use Ghastly, but now he has a super effective psychic move, Agility. Ghastly's back, baby! And since I didn't let him get Bulbasaur as his starter, his team doesn't have a single poison Pokemon, so I don't have to worry about switching Ghastly out once I have my evasion and substitute up. Rhyhorn still can't attack me. His Execute, however, was a lot scarier than I thought. Not only did he use Leech Seed, but he even used Solar Beam against me, and he managed to break my substitute with it. Also, turns out he has Stun Spore instead of Poison Powder, so even the one move I thought I was immune to, I'm not. But I take him down, and next comes his 3 even more annoying Pokemon. Gyarados still has the same moveset, but thankfully not the same luck as before, since he failed to attack me once. I can only use Substitute one more time, so breaking it mid-fight would be a problem. His Alakazam is exactly the same as Sabrina's scary Alakazam. He will probably never use Recover, but I'm hoping he will at least use Reflect a couple of times. Just as I'm wishing that, he breaks my sub with Psybeam on the first turn and almost kills me the turn after with Psychic. I'm on my last sub and I didn't even get him poisoned yet. It gets worse as on his last turn he breaks my substitute one last time. I'm now facing his Charizard with a bare naked level 5 Ghastly with 5 HP. His Charizard still has only one fire attack, but it's Flamethrower this time, so at least I can die to a real Charizard this time. I honestly do not expect to win this one since he will only use Flamethrower, yet somehow the fight is still going and I'm just spamming Confuse Ray at this point. He snaps out of confusion on his very last turn and luckily misses. I save 50 times after this battle before I end up celebrating. Was anyone else jumping at the end of this battle?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, good news, I don't have to battle a single trainer in Victory Road. Bad news, the encounters are terrible for me. I had to save almost every few steps, but I managed to make it through and I passed by the level 50 Moltres. Alright, the reason I made it this far was because I can look what each trainer has and try to take advantage of their Pokemon's weaknesses. The problem with the Elite Four is that I can't go back once I challenge the first trainer. So I have to make sure I plan ahead the team that I'll be using, because they have to be able to work against all Elite Four members, not just one of them. First of the Elite Four members is Lorelei. Her Diogong has the super effective psychic move, Rest. So she can't kill me, but if I use Toxic, she will always heal it, and when she wakes up in 2 turns, she will use Rest again. What do I do here? Remember the Toxic and Leech Seed stacking effect that I explained earlier in this video? That's exactly what I would use here, because Poison is healed when she goes to sleep, but Leech Seed will remain. I don't have to worry about putting her to sleep because she takes care of that herself. I do have to wait, however, for her to use Rest first before switching to Execute, because the AI decides on the move after I make mine. So if I switch to Execute expecting Rest, she will actually use a different one and kill me. All I have to do now is wait for Leech Seed to stack long enough for it to go down in just 2 turns so she doesn't get a chance to heal again. Her Cloyster is next, and it's one of her scarier Pokemon because it has the move Clamp, another trapping move that in Gen 1 will not allow me to attack if it does land. That means if it hits, I won't be able to use Substitute and I will die in the next turn. It didn't attack itself in Confusion once, but I was still lucky enough to avoid her attacks. Next is Slowbro, and he has the super effective move Amnesia, so he's useless. I take him down, and her last threat, Jinx, is next. She will only use Ice Punch, and on her first turn, she breaks my substitute right away. I managed to get her confused and poisoned, and right after she breaks it again. Lorelei heals it with Super Potion. I'm not sure why they still use Super Potion at this level, but anyways, it goes down to the poison, and with that goes down her last threat. Labra's moveset is actually pretty good, but because she has Confuse Ray, a ghost move, and because it's a good AI, she will only use Confuse Ray, which is fine. In fact, if she did confuse me, I will just keep on switching between my 2 Ghastlies until she dies from the Toxic. Bruno's next. His Onix has 1 rock move and 3 normal moves. This means a good AI will always use Rock Throw, making it almost impossible for a level 5 Ghastly. But believe it or not, Bruno doesn't have a good AI, an Elite Four member that has the same AI as a Bug Catcher. So he tends to go for normal attacks more often than his rock move, because there are 3 of them and just the 1 rock attack. His Hitmonchan is next, and once again I don't play around his move types because he can use any of the 4 moves. Hitmonchan can be a problem, however, because he can attack me with 2 out of his 4 moves. He actually breaks my substitute on the last turn, but luckily for me he goes for Hitmonlee next, who only has fighting and normal moves, so he can't touch me. I bring my substitute back up, and taking down his Hitmonlee is not a problem. With the rest of the Pokemon movesets and his extreme intelligence, Hitmonlee, Second Onix, and Machamp all go down easily. Next is Agatha, and her Gengar has 2 psychic moves, so she will never use her ghost move. Yeah, that was an absolutely stupid assumption. That's what you get for trying to think as a Gen 1 AI for an entire challenge. I had to redo the entire Elite Four several times because I kept trying different teams against her, all with failing results. One problem I have is that I can't build a team just around Agatha. It has to be something that works for the next 2 fights as well. But the main issue is that Agatha is actually one of the smartest AI that I have faced so far, and I'm not being sarcastic. She has a Golbat with Haze that resets stat changes for both Pokemon, and she knows how to use it, well, to an extent. Not only that, Haze actually removes Leech Seed's effect in this gen. The one thing going for me is that even though she's a special AI, she's not a good one. So just like a bug catcher, she won't consider super effective or damaging moves, anything can be used. I now have a Dratini and I replaced Execute with Bulbasaur. I put her Pokemon to sleep, used Leech Seed, and switched to Dratini to maximize my evasion and use Substitute. This is all for her Golbat, not her Gengar. I'm doing 3 things here. 1. I'm raising my evasion to avoid her attack, at least until she uses Haze. This will buy me at least 1 turn. 2. I'm getting Substitute up so I can live 1 hit, buying me a 2nd turn. 3. I plan on using Dragon Rage because it's the fastest thing I have after Leech Seed and Toxic, since her Golbat can get poisoned and gets rid of Leech Seed with Haze. Her Golbat only has 1 attacking move, so I'm hoping she wouldn't use it until I take her down. I need 5 turns to kill her with Dragon Rage, not including her healing turns, so I have to get lucky here. Another thing about Agatha's AI, she switches out a lot, and it gets really annoying. She also has a high chance of healing her Pokemon once they are below 25% of their HP, so this fight is far from over. I almost killed her Gengar with Dratini, but I ran out of Dragon Rage, so I put her to sleep using Bulbasaur. I then go for Leech Seed and switch out to Ghastly. The Ghastly with Hypnosis, that is, because none of her Pokemon can be poisoned, and I need to rely on Leech Seed and Confusion to deal damage. This goes on for a while, and the worst thing is, it doesn't get any easier because once I raise my evasion, I have to switch back to Bulbasaur on her next Pokemon. Her Hunter lasts for a long time because she switches him out. At this point, only Gengar and Hunter are remaining, and I have to use my second Ghastly because the first one runs out of PP. So I rely on Confuse Ray to take down her Hunter. On her last Gengar, I wanted to switch to Bulbasaur to use Leech Seed, but I was too scared to mess things up, especially that I raised my evasion again and I'm finally on her last Pokemon, so I just waited for Gengar to kill itself with Confusion. If I would do this differently, I would add 2 more Dratinis on my team to take advantage of Dragon Rage while her Pokemon is asleep. I finally take down Agatha, 1 more Elite Four member before the champion. Lance has good AI, and he starts with Gyarados. I decided to start with Bulbasaur. This rules out Hydro Pump since I resist it, and gives me 1 out of 3 chance to get Leer instead of his other 3 attacks. So I reset until he uses it, and I put him to sleep using Sleep Powder. I then use Leech Seed before switching out to Ghastly while it's asleep. It wakes up just I get it confused. He fails to attack me as I slowly raise my evasion. He does however heal it with Hyper Potion. That's the bad news. The good news, however, is that Gyarados is the only Pokemon that can attack me on Lance's team. This is his team's movesets. His Dragon Pokemon have Psychic moves that don't deal damage, but because I'm weak to Psychic, they will use them anyway. His Aerodactyl only has normal moves, so it can't attack me. So after I take down his Gyarados, his Dratini, second Dratini, Aerodactyl, and finally Dragonite all go down without any problem. I don't even attack, I just poison them and swap between my 2 Ghastlys. Next is the champion. His Pidgeot now has 3 flying moves and a useless normal attack. I could have used my Pikachu here since he would choose to go for the normal attack, but I decided to go with Ghastly because if he uses any move other than Wing Attack, I will be able to put him to sleep. I also had no idea what it meant when the game says Pidgeot is glowing, but then realized that's the text displayed when a Pokemon uses Sky Attack. Sky Attack is a 2-turn move, so you attack on the second turn and look fabulous on the first turn, I guess. I get to start on my setup with Ghastly. Pidgeot does nothing but use Mirror Move, copying each move I make. So just like me, he has max evasion and substitute up, but unlike me, he's dead. The Pokemon's order changes for the champion. He now goes for Alakazam as his second Pokemon. The moveset, however, is still the same. I'm still hoping for Recover or that he misses his psychic attacks. The best thing about having his Alakazam second is that I don't lose a lot of progress if I die to him. I take him down, and I believe this is the first time Alakazam doesn't break my substitute at least once. His Rhydon is next, and unlike Giovanni's Rhydon, he doesn't have a ground move, so he can't even hit me. Executor is next, and again his moveset can only allow him to put me to sleep, so taking him out was not a problem. Only Gyarados and Charizard remaining. I hate those two. Of course, Gyarados breaks my sub on his first turn, why wouldn't he? He misses Hydro Pump the next turn, so I got to use Substitute again. It was a shaky start, but I actually take him down without getting hit a second time. His Charizard is last, and he now knows the trapping move, Fire Spin, so again if he lands it, I'm dead. Fire Blast is definitely the best option for me since it has 85 accuracy. It starts off great because he actually keeps on using Fire Blast right until he breaks my sub, then goes for Fire Spin on his last turn before he goes down to one final poison damage. And with that, the champion is down.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
We're not done yet. I decided to challenge one more trainer. In case you didn't know, there are actually battle data for Professor Oak in this game. I believe he was supposed to be the champion, but his team's levels were too high, so they changed him or something like that. Anyways, there's a glitch you can do to battle him, or just use a cheat code. I know you can change his starter Pokemon, but I couldn't get him to have Venusaur, so I decided to keep the same team for him anyways. He starts with a level 66 Tauros, and as you can see, his team has the same weakness that most trainers have in this game. They start with the weakest Pokemon. A great start for me nevertheless, because now I can increase my evasion without having to worry about him attacking. Next is his Executor, and he will only use Hypnosis because Professor Oak is also considered a good AI, which means he's predictable. He does manage to get me to sleep, but all that does is save me some PP as he goes down anyways. Arcanine is next. He only has Ember, so he will always spam it. I get him poisoned and confused, and after he misses Ember 4 times, he goes down. Blastoise is next. He will either use Withdraw or Hydro Pump. He starts by using 2 Withdraw, followed by 4 Hydro Pumps. I gotta say, not bad for a Gen 1 AI. His final Pokemon is a level 70 Gyarados. Of course the last Pokemon had to be Gyarados, and of course it had to break my sub on his first turn. I actually died to him before, this was my second attempt. Every time I feel nervous in a battle, I just look at the level difference. Not once did that help. The fight was a lot closer than I would have liked, but I managed to take him down and finally defeat the game. With that, the Kanto region is down, and no thanks to my skills, all thanks goes to my opponents. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you follow, join and subscribe. You know what I mean. See you guys next time.